So in this video, I am officially putting no coiners on notice. You've been warned. There's no excuse for you not to be putting at least a portion of your precious life savings into Bitcoin. Not because it's going to the moon, not because of Lambos, not because of any of that garbage, but because of what I'm about to read to you. You're being put on notice if you're a no coiner, because you have no excuse not to be reacting to information as it comes in. There's no excuse to be ignorant. All the information that you require to know that you should be in Bitcoin, or at least some asset with zero counterparty risk, all the information is there. It's publicly available. It's reported on by the mainstream news. It's all there. There's no excuse for you not to be absorbing this information and reacting accordingly. Today we're going to be talking about Professor Omerova, who has been nominated by President Biden to be the controller of the U.S. currency. She is currently in there's Senate hearings to approve her. And I imagine that she will be approved. She will be the controller of the U.S. currency. When you hear what I'm about to read to you, that should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up when you hear what Professor Omerova stands for. So, in a series of academic papers, Professor Omerova has described how she believes that every American should have a bank account set up with the Federal Reserve. And so basically your money would be held in not the commercial bank as you have it now, but directly with the Fed. And authorities would be free to inflate the currency by issuing interest on your deposits or even crediting the accounts directly. Now, we already see this. We see this with certain financial relief programs that have occurred in the last year or two, in which they are basically sending money directly into the bank account of maybe not every citizen, but for millions of citizens. But of course, one of the problems we saw with these programs was because there's so many different commercial banks, it took a long time for that money to be basically teleported into the accounts of millions of citizens. It took a long time, and there was a lot of backlash regarding that. Well, the logical answer to that is, well, if every citizen had an account directly with the Fed, there would be no problem with directly depositing money when needed, or during an emergency or something. It'd be very easy to do. So you can kind of see the logic of this. However, of course, the other side of it is to counter inflation, the Fed could also slash the interest rates on those accounts, or even, if all else fails, take away people's money. Basically, capital controls, or if not capital controls, to give a haircut to every account. So in the event of a national emergency, there's high inflation. Well, guess what? Everyone's account has been cut by 20%. That is what she's proposing, that everyone hold an account directly with the Fed in order for the Fed to have the ability to do this very easily. Now, this is obviously very concerning. They want direct control of your bank account. They want to manipulate the money in your bank account directly. Indirectly doing it through Fed policy obviously is getting near the limits of its ability to influence the economy and the money supply in the ways that they desire, because they've pushed the limits so far in terms of what Fed policy is able to accomplish. It's run out of gas. They need more direct control. They need the ability to more directly intervene, and in order to do so, they need direct access to every citizen's bank account. They need direct access to the savings and the money of every citizen, so that they can directly manipulate it. Now, on one hand, the logic of this, from the perspective of a central banker, I can see why a Professor Omerova would come to this conclusion. This is the logical conclusion of central banking. If the central bank is going to, if its existence is mandated upon controlling the economy and the money supply through various mechanisms of manipulation, well, the logical conclusion is, why not just enhance the ability of the Fed to manipulate in the economy in order to allow it to do to fulfill its mandate that much better. This is the logical conclusion. Of course, the Fed should have direct access to every citizen's bank account. But of course, I think it should be pretty obvious that from the perspective of a citizen, this is quite terrifying. And another implication of this is that obviously they are heading in the direction of eliminating cash, because they cannot control cash, they cannot confiscate cash, they cannot inflate it or deflate it at will. They do not want cash. And I think if and when it ever gets to the point where every citizen has a direct account with the Fed, one of the steps that will be taken before that occurs is the elimination of cash. That has been on the agenda for a long time. So already this is quite terrifying. This is not just some quack professor. This is someone who's going to have real power. And this is the type of thing that she openly advocates for, that has written academic papers about. She wants to control your bank account. That's what it comes down to. And she doesn't try to hide it. This is something that she openly and explicitly advocates for. She's a true believer, right? A lot of these technocrats, politicians are not true believers. Politicians are opportunists. They just go with whatever the slogan is that has been tested with focus groups and so forth. They just go with opinion polls. Politicians are not true believers. Okay? People like Omerova, these technocrats, they are true believers. They believe absolutely 100% that the systems and the doctrines that they are operating within and operating upon, they believe absolutely in their reality, in their fundamental goodness. She truly believes that what she's advocating is for the best, that it is for the best for America and for American citizens, to the extent that she does not feel in any way that she needs to hide what her beliefs are. She says openly, yes, the federal government should control directly the currency in every citizen's bank account. Now this is, I'm not even done. This isn't even the scariest part of what she advocates. Reading from the article here, the Fed, according to Omerova, would also build a stock portfolio mirroring the broader market and short stocks it perceives as inflated in value, or go long on those as it sees as undervalued. What? Excuse me? Did she just write that in an academic paper, that is totally shocking and unbelievable and terrifying. What she is saying, what she believes in, is the Federal Reserve openly buying and shorting stocks according to who knows what value, who knows how they are determining what is quote-unquote under or overvalued. God only knows what metrics that they are using. Who knows what kind of political criteria they could apply to undervaluing or overvaluing a stock. What if a certain company happens to be not as progressive as the U.S. Federal Reserve would like it to be? Well, guess what? That company is getting shorted by an institution that has literally unlimited money. Do you understand what we're talking about here? This is God power. This is the Fed on God mode. This is the Fed basically deciding which companies live and die based on who knows what criteria. It doesn't even matter. Like, the Federal Reserve doesn't even need to they don't have to even worry about whether or not the stocks they are buying or shorting are intrinsically valuable or not, because they have an unlimited balance sheet. They can take the worst company in the world and inflate it to $1 trillion if they decide it's politically expedient to do so, because they don't have to worry about fundamentals. Imagine being able to play in the stock market with an unlimited checkbook. That's what we're talking about here. There's no market at that point. There's no this isn't, you're no longer investing. If you are investing in a stock market that has a market participant, it's like, put it this way, it's like playing Monopoly when one of the players is the banker. You might as well just quit the game, because you can't possibly win. There's no possible outcome that is favorable for you if the player you are playing against is the banker itself. And that's what happens if the Federal Reserve openly is buying and shorting stocks just based on whatever, who knows what criteria they're doing. Like, you can't play that game. You have to walk away. If it's Monopoly, you walk away. And if this were to occur, I mean, you can't own stocks anymore. You can't own bonds. You can't own any asset at that point, because the game is beyond rigged at that point. It's not even a game anymore. That's not all. I'm not done yet. Okay. Continuing in the article, the government would also be given special voting rights, as though it were a major shareholder in every publicly traded company, directly influencing the appointment and firing of executives. Professor Omerova these are academic papers she has written, where she is saying these things. Directly influencing the appointment and firing of executives. They're just, that's basically what she's advocating, is nationalizing the entire economy. Every publicly traded company in America nationalized. Again, you don't own stocks in an environment like that. In fact, in an environment like that, you don't even live in the country. I mean, are we talking about a third world dictatorship here? Did I mix up articles? No, this is, you read an article like this, you don't think, oh, this is the land of the free, I want to live there. You think, if I didn't tell you that I was describing the United States, you'd say, oh, well, obviously you leave that country. You pack your bags and you get out. You sell everything. You put it into Bitcoin, you get out. Now, how does Omerova portray her vision of banking? She says it's the democratization of banking. Oh, really? This vision that she describes is the democratization of banking. You couldn't get any more Orwellian than that. That's it's literally the opposite of what she's describing. This isn't the democratization of banking. It's the this is banking by a totalitarian entity. This is totalitarianism through and through. There's nothing democratic about it. Now this is I'm going to give you a direct quote from Omerova. The Fed acts on behalf of the sovereign public as the ultimate creator of a unique collective good, the monetized full faith and credit of the United States. What more can be said here? This is, the writing is on the wall. What I have described to you, she herself describes as acting on the behalf of the sovereign public for the unique collective good. What she is describing in her words is the monetized full faith and credit of the United States. These are her direct words. What I said at the beginning of this video was no coiners are being put on notice. Okay, this video is putting you all on notice. If you don't own Bitcoin, you're on notice, because this is a newspaper article. You can look up Omerova on YouTube. There's every mainstream news outlet has little articles about her, little 2-minute clips, news reports about her and her beliefs. This is all in the public domain. This is not a quote-unquote conspiracy theory. This is all openly admitted, and not only admitted, she calls it democratization. How Orwellian. So you're on notice. If you do not realize that the true game here is not getting rich, right? Bitcoin, in this context, is not about the 10x, or, it's not about making money. What matters in this context is an asset with zero counterparty risk, because what she is describing, the only response to any sane citizen should be, well, I want nothing to do with that, and I am going to actively ensure that you are incapable, Miss Omerova, of ever manipulating my assets with your crazy, insane, totalitarian version of economics, quote unquote. There's nothing economic. She is not an economist. This is overt totalitarianism. They want to control you. They want to control your money. They want to control your savings in an absolute and explicit and overt way. They already do it implicitly. They already do it in a sort of shadowy way. Like, inflation is very shadowy. But in this case, it's just overt. Oh, I'm sorry, 20% of your account has been confiscated due to reasons, right? And they don't apologize for it, because it's for the common good. It's for the unique collective good. But look, you need Bitcoin not to get rich, but just to save yourself from this kind of totalitarian overreach. And if not Bitcoin, hey, look, forget about Bitcoin. If not Bitcoin, find something else. If you don't believe in Bitcoin, get into gold. If you don't like gold, get into silver. If you don't want any of that, buy a farm and get off the grid. I don't care what you do with your capital, as long as you ensure that there is a buffer placed between you and these insane people like Omerova. This is not someone that communicates a sense of humanity to me, right? And this is a person who wants direct control over, basically over your life, right? Not just your bank account, but the entire economy, everything. You need Bitcoin in order to protect yourself against psychopaths like this. And you need Bitcoin because in an environment in which these kinds of policies are implemented, you need the capital to be able to get out if you have to. It might come down to that. If this type of system is ever implemented, you might need to, the only solution may very well be to leave the country. And you're going to need the capital to do so. And I believe Bitcoin is... this video isn't so much about why Bitcoin is a great counter to this kind of terrifying danger typified by and described by Omerova. There's lots of other videos that I have that explain why Bitcoin is a great counter to that. But the point of this video is that the writing's on the wall. You should, if you're not actively reacting to this kind of information, it's already game over for you. And to conclude, I want to say one more thing. You may have listened to this video and said to yourself, well, that's all very extreme. It'll never happen. There will never be the political capital to ever push something like this. Well, you know what? They can make anything happen that they want. All they need is a crisis to do it. And for these elites, crises are a dime a dozen.